Welcome into the Russ Joy Show. I'm Russ Joy. Figured that out because you're smart. It's also the name of the show. And wow, we have an emergency pod, and it's not an emergency pod that comes on the tail of, bad news. This is good. This is all very good stuff. And I was very excited because I was putting together a couple of show sheets for later today and tomorrow because, of course, Press Row Show, if you're a Flyers fan, we've got a lot of Press Row shows coming up over on the Snow the Goalie channel. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. 7 games in 11 days for your team, your town, Philadelphia Flyers. So I was getting myself mentally ready for that. Oh, and by the way, I have an episode of It's Just Wrestling dropping today as well, where I talk about, The Rock, John Cena, the heel turn heard around the world, all that. And so I was really excited about, all right, we're going to put that out, get everything together. No. Can't do that. Why? Because as many of you know, it's Howie season. I just don't, at this point, if you are an owner of another team and you have the opportunity, I'm going to raise the desk here like Howie Roseman's stock continues to go up in this league. My God, Howie Roseman's done it again. All right, last year, Howie Roseman completes a signing that breaks a division rival, breaks their hearts, breaks their spirits, breaks their souls, and we get a beautiful moment where Saquon Barkley signs with the Eagles, and you think to yourself, all right, is he worth it? Because we all knew what the market for running backs had been, especially in recent years. The running back position has largely become devalued. Then you fast forward a year, Saquon Barkley's a Super Bowl champion, over 2,000 yards rushing, the most yards in history in a single season between the regular season and playoffs combined. And now he gets a contract extension that is going to pay dividends for the Philadelphia Eagles. But first, we're going to go over to the tweet from Adam Schefter because this has many of the details that we need to get into about what this deal is, why it happened, and ultimately whether or not it was a good deal. Hint, yes, it was. And it's going to pay dividends for this team. Let's get into why. So here you go. Now, it might seem a little bit early for this, but I told you the other day, Howie's cooking something up. I've heard a couple of things. Howie is active right now. Don't consider me your plugged-in insider, but I do happen to know about a little bit of stuff going on around Howie right now that I find interesting. Perhaps you'll find interesting too, and if it happens, I'll let you know. Now, Adam Schefter puts out earlier this afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, some people were just getting back from their lunch break. Some people, as the show is going right now, are in the midst of their lunch, or they might be driving back to the office, or maybe they're picking up their laundry. I don't know. But here is the deal. Saquon Barkley gets rewarded with a 2-year, $41.2 million contract extension that makes him the highest paid running back in NFL history. This isn't just right now. This isn't just the upcoming season. In NFL history, the deal makes Barkley the NFL's first $20 million plus per year running back in history. Again, remember, think about last year. Think about the deal that Howie Roseman handed out. Think about how national media pundits like Nick Wright were absolutely killing Howie for going out and signing Saquon to a deal. And now, a year later, essentially a full calendar year later, Saquon Barkley becomes the first running back in the history of the National Football League to get $20 million plus per season over this 2-year extension. We'll get into this a little bit more, but Barkley now can also earn an additional $15 million in incentives and escalators. The deal includes $36 million fully guaranteed at signing. This is the point of the show where we all look into the camera. We all look into our hearts. We all look into our minds. And we all say, collectively, as one, Jeffrey Lurie, thank you. Because this money getting guaranteed up front is going to give the Eagles some flexibility, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But $36 million guaranteed up front, that is a thing of beauty. And somehow, it feels like this is a record-breaking contract. And if you had told me that Howie Roseman signed Saquon Barkley to $25 million a year, $26 million a year, God forbid, 30 would have been crazy. by like $25 million per year. I'd have said, based on the fact that he just helped you win a Super Bowl and your Super Bowl window is very wide, we might even be talking wider than the gap in Michael Strahan's front two teeth. Not quite Grand Canyon size, but pretty damn big. Getting Saquon Barkley under contract to an extension, albeit a very lucrative one, is massive for this team. You want to talk about just going into next season knowing that there are no questions about his long-term future, knowing that you have one of your best and most dynamic playmakers locked in longer term. That is a thing of beauty. Now, we all know, and the stats have gone around, right? The stats have gone around about how running backs or players just in general who have had as many touches in a season like Barkley did this year, quite oftentimes they fall off a bit the next year. And there are certainly people who are hoping, praying, crossing their fingers for the sudden demise of Saquon Barkley. And to those people, we laugh because Saquon Barkley was an absolute blessing to the Philadelphia Eagles this year and to this Philadelphia sports market. He exceeded every expectation. And I'm not a big believer in paying somebody retroactively or paying somebody for past accomplishments. But in this case, you just got your second Super Bowl, and if things go well and he's able to remain healthy for the next few years, you are very likely going to put yourself in position again to contend for another Super Bowl. This is great business. Schefter also notes that the Eagles are taking the rare step of extending Barkley 1 year into his 3-year deal. So all in all, he'll be here for another 4 years, right? The two from the on the remaining deal plus another 2. And they did it in the same league year in which they signed him to the initial contract. So listen, if the wheels were to fall off, God forbid, there will be people who are going to look at this deal and say, oh, Howie did the thing where he signs the guy too early. He did this with Carson Wentz. There were thoughts that he might have done it too soon with Jalen Hurts. I choose not to live in a world of negativity today. This is a joyful day. And as AJ says over on YouTube, I guess Saquon is giving up Lent or giving up free agency for Lent. That's a hell of a line. Saquon Barkley. I don't know if he's a good Catholic guy. I don't know if he's going to get the ashes on Wednesday. Don't know if he's a man of faith at all. He should be after this. $20+ million a year on a 2-year extension. You got to thank somebody for that one. But is he giving up free agency for Lent? Certainly appears so. And for the next few years. So you have Saquon Barkley under contract for another 4 years. That is huge for this team. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't go to a clip that has obviously gone the rounds over the last year. If this guy, I actually feel a little bit bad. I feel a little bit bad showing this because you want to just talk about somebody who's going to continue to get clowned from now until the end of time. It's both the front office and ownership of the Giants. And I just want to remind everybody of something that happened that we all got to see play out on national TV, that we all got to see play out when the Giants were making a decision on whether or not to extend or keep Saquon Barkley or if they should, put the team in the hands of Daniel Jones. Let's just throw this over here real quick.
And the running back, I think.
What's the latest? Just on the Saquon thing.
I just got a text that Chicago's driving the price up and Philly's out. I don't know if that's true or not.
Spoiler! Philly wasn't out!
Which I don't know. I'll make a couple of calls. I don't even know if that's gonna happen, but
I have a tough time sleeping if Saquon goes to Philadelphia, I'll tell you that.
This poor motherfucker's never going to sleep again. Because not only did he lose Saquon Barkley led the league in rushing. Saquon Barkley helped lead the Eagles to a Super Bowl. And now Saquon Barkley's staying in the division for an additional 2 years. Poor John Mara's going to have to wake up in the middle of the night in cold sweats knowing that twice a year Saquon Barkley is going to run roughshod on the Giants. Let's keep going.
As I've told you, just being out. I've been around enough players. So, but he's the most popular player we have by far.
Yeah.
And now he's maybe one of the Eagles' most popular players by far. I mean, definitely is one of the most popular. Is he the most popular? I don't know. I've seen some people getting 26 tattooed on them. Just saying. This is absolutely bananagrams to me. It is absolutely wild to me that we live in a world now where Howie Roseman gets ahead of the game. And the reason that he did it, and we'll dive more into this on Wednesday's regular show, but I wanted to just react to this quickly. The big reason why this is happening, or what I have to imagine is a big part of why this is happening, is that according to Spotrac, who's, arguably the best place to go when you're looking for contracts, they're going to save about half the cap hit that Saquon Barkley was scheduled to have next year. They're going to save that money against the cap because of this extension, which makes it an even better bit of business. So not only do you lock him up longer term, but it is absolutely beautiful. And Spotrac also pointed out the fact that the Eagles they're doing a few things here. I'm gonna bring this up because I think this is a very pertinent tweet, and I think that ultimately it shows you why this decision was made now, the timing of the decision, and what it proves to players who might be considering the Eagles as a team. So Spotrac over on X says, Eagles extend players a year before we all think they should. A, it keeps their cap fluid and controllable. B, it rewards players with upfront cash, which again, that comes back to Jeffrey Lurie. I mean, Howie Roseman's handing out the contracts, but Jeffrey Lurie is the one signing off and ultimately signing the checks. So again, this all comes down to ownership that's willing to spend. C, it is noted by every player and agent throughout the league. And then Spotrac also goes on to say, it's no accident that this contract was announced a week before free agency. We know that Howie's going to be active. We know that there have been rumors out there about if and when Myles Garrett becomes available in a trade, because it was reported again that he has shut the door, slammed the door. His agents, his negotiators have slammed shut the idea of extending in Cleveland. If and when Myles Garrett becomes available through a trade, boy, does it help you now to have additional cap flexibility. And again, on Wednesday's show, we'll break it down about the savings on Darius Slay, about James Bradbury, some other things that may be on their way. But ultimately what this does is this. It takes next year's cap hit for Saquon Barkley from just over $13.5 million, and it cuts it down to around $6.8 million for the upcoming season. So you're now saving roughly almost $7 million against your cap. $7 million. That isn't necessarily enough to go out and get you a marquee free agent, but it certainly gives you the flexibility. Maybe you restructure a couple of other contracts here between now and the start of free agency that you can go make a splash. Or that if you need to absorb some salary in a deal, like a Myles Garrett, you now have even more cap flexibility. So this is not only a great deal for Saquon, who gets over $30 million guaranteed when he signs this extension. Not only does it give him the peace of mind knowing, all right, I'm here for the next 4 years, 2 on the first contract, 2 on this extension. Not only does it give the Eagles that peace of mind that they have him locked up long term, but it also gives the team the flexibility coming off of a Super Bowl win to continue to tweak this roster, to improve this roster, and to take advantage, full advantage of that wide open window where they're trying to create a dynasty of their own. So often a team that makes it to the Super Bowl, and maybe even wins a Super Bowl, the following year, the reality of the cap hits them in the face like a blunt shovel, just kind of whacks you, breaks your nose, makes you cry. Howie Roseman is doing everything in his power to try to mitigate any damage that could be done to their cap right now, and is trying to give this team the ultimate flexibility. If you think that there's a free agent right now who is considering a bunch of different teams and maybe has a little bit of flexibility in their ask, if you think that they're not looking at what Philadelphia has put together, the long-term possibility of this team being a Super Bowl contender, and the fact that they treat their players like this, signing them early to extensions, giving them upfront money. How the hell do you beat getting, $36 million up front? How the hell do you beat that? The answer is you don't. If you are a free agent and you're evaluating teams, team by team, head to head, then it's pretty clear that there's no better place right now to go than Philadelphia. Now, we'll get into all of this and further ramifications of this signing, but I wanted to hop on here to just provide the update. I assume many people have seen it, but many of you who are over on YouTube, those of you who are on Facebook, X, or who listen after the fact in the podcast feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, this has been your emergency pod. Saquon Barkley signs an extension with the Philadelphia Eagles. He will remain in town for at least another 4 seasons. That's something that we can all believe in. D.D. Skinner can end us here with a little bit of positivity. It's freaking awesome. Indeed it is. I'll be back on Wednesday morning, 8:30 a.m. here on the Russ Joy Show. If you care about pro wrestling, go check out It's Just Wrestling, where I'll have an episode today, an episode Thursday. Today's is all about The Rock and John Cena and what happened at the Elimination Chamber. Thursday's show will be all about AEW Dynamite, previewing Revolution. And, oh, by the way, many episodes of Snow the Goalie / The Press Row Show coming over the next week and a half. So if you don't like me, there are going to be many episodes of my face popping up across socials. So apologies for that. But if you do like the content, then I've got good news for you. It's coming soon. So everybody be excited. I'll talk to all of you again Wednesday morning here on the Russ Joy Show. Until then, I've been Russ Joy, but you figured that out already because you're smart. It's also the name of the show. Good job, Howie. Good job, Jeffrey. Great job, Saquon Barkley. Talk to all of you soon.